the North Africans, they are always bullying everybody. Always. They bully referees, they bully everybody. They don't want to lose. They're going to lose tonight. We beat them fair and square. 2 legitimate goals, they must go home. When we lose in Wydad, in Casa, we don't do anything. We work out properly. What is all this?
Well, that was the only way to start the preview of our CAF Champions League quarter-final second leg against Esperance Sportive de Tunis on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock South African time at the Rades Stadium. We had no option but to start with that video after last week's events. But before I go in any deeper and maybe lose my head, let me greet everyone. Greetings, Masandawana. Greetings, Esperance Sportive de Tunis Club supporters and football lovers as a whole. Welcome to yet another installment of the Elokona. Raps, greetings.
Hola, Iso.
How are you?
I'm well, my guy. And you?
I'm good and not so good. I am happy that we won the first leg, but I'm absolutely pissed off by the events that took place on Tuesday at our game and before our game against Esperance. We saw what many, and by many I'm including myself, would call maybe barbaric behavior, uncouth behavior from Esperance Sportive de Tunis supporters. And I'm not going to paint them with all of them with the same brush, because I refuse to believe that all Esperance supporters are like that, you know. The same way I wouldn't paint Sundown supporters with the same brush. All fan bases have supporters who are just lunatics who don't understand the game, that the game is about winning, losing, and drawing. You know, the events that took place angered me so much that what was so difficult for a majority of them who were at the stadium to take that defeat. We've suffered heartbreak in the CAF Champions League. We've been knocked out, and at the end of the day, we've clapped for teams after they beat us. I remember 2 years ago when I attended the semi-final, the quarter-final, when we lost to Wydad in the tournament that everyone thought Sundowns would win, and it was heartbreaking how we were knocked out. But as heartbreaking as it was, we clapped for Wydad as they left the pitch, you know, and we've done so in the past. Last season they knocked us out, Esperance, and we didn't do anything like that. I mean, I don't understand why they did what they did. It was totally uncalled for, you know. Such behavior, man, is not. We don't need such in our football. We want the game to grow in Africa, and if there are certain elements who behave like this, it is not gonna grow. I mean, not just at the stadium. We were in the same train as a majority of them traveling to Loftus from Midrand, you know, and in some of the couches in the train, they were smoking, they were drinking, they vandalized the train, you know, and you ask yourself, why behave like that? Why behave like that? Why would you go to the stadium with sharp objects, with pepper sprays? You know, what's the objective? Are you not going to watch football and enjoy the game and get behind your team? You know, like why are you taking such things to the stadium? I mean, they started this. There's a video that I saw just before we started recording. By the way, we are recording this on Friday afternoon. Hopefully nothing major happens between now and when we drop this preview. We'll drop it on Sunday this coming weekend. I saw a video and a statement that apparently during the game, some of them would piss inside bottles and then throw them down at our supporters. What type of behavior is that? And then they destroyed the barricade that separated them and our fans, you know, and attacked our fans, you know, with sharp objects, with pepper sprays. And then when we retaliated, one of them almost fell. What did they do? They left him behind. His own brothers left him behind, and one of our own saved his life. And big ups to Sboni so for being a bigger man. You know, not many would have done that. Me and you and Neo were seated on our grandstand, and we were shocked at what we saw during after the end of the game. I'm really baffled by that type of behavior that we saw from Esperance fans. It's not warranted, man, you know. And yeah, man, hopefully this is the last time we see such scenes in our football. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, hey, yeah, no, what happened during the first leg, man. It was not a nice scene, man. More especially, I'm worried about fathers and uncles or parents who want to take their children to soccer games.
Sorry to interject. The couple that we were sitting next to on our way back home after the game,
Yeah.
a family of 4 with 2 very young kids. Do you think that guy is gonna be brave to take his
never.
young boys and his wife to the game again?
After what happened in the second leg, man,
In the first leg?
in the first leg, I doubt some of the parents or guardians will take their children to soccer games because of what happened at the stadium, man. I think it was not nice, man. But first of all, now I blame our law enforcement, man. I think we could see 3 hours before the game started, or there's gonna be a problem in this game. How these guys behaved when they were still in Sentin before we could even.
Oh yes, kind of. One of the Gautrain guys showed us a video when they were in Sentin before even met them.
It was in 12 o'clock, 3 hours before the game. You could tell these guys like they behave in a certain manner, man. And you've said once we arrived inside the Gautrain, when we caught the train from Midrand to Hartfield, man, like what they were doing as a South African citizen, I've never ate, I've never drank inside the Gautrain, but those guys, like their behavior, man, and the guys who were working at the Gautrain, like they did nothing, and there were no police officers at site, man. So I blame our law enforcement. Like they should have dealt with these guys before they could even reach or before they could even get to the stadium, man. So but I'm glad that one of our supporters managed to save the life of one of the Esperance fans. I hope this won't happen again. And I think CAF has to deal with the North African supporters, man. What happened at Cape Town when Stellenbosch played Zamalek? The same behavior, man. I think CAF needs to be harsh and decisive when they deal with these supporters, because of these guys, they feel they're entitled to win. And if they don't win, they end up like vandalizing and causing some fights. So I think they need to deal with them to an extent, or even if they try to think of doing nasty behavior, they think twice, man.
Yeah, and like I said, we're not painting this all aspirant supporters with the same brush. There are guys that we took pictures with before the game, really nice guys who looked forward to the game, had a chat with a few of them, you know, and yeah, man. And speaking of experienced supporters, let me once again thank my brother Elias for an amazing preview of the first leg, man. A lot of you guys really loved that preview, the comments and everything, you know. So thank you very much to our brother Elias. You guys really appreciated his views and insight into the game, you know. So yeah, man, hopefully me and Rapelang deliver a preview as good as that, or half decent, you know.
Yeah, the standard is high.
Yeah, no, he set the bar really high. Rabs, we are taking a 1-0 lead to Rades. Will it be good enough, or is it good enough?
I think it will depend on our approach, man. Because I remember in 2017 season, we won 1-0 against Wydad Casablanca at home, and we went to Casablanca and they equalized. Then the game went to penalties, and
don't remind me of that. To this day, I'm still mad at our senior players.
We lost.
Who chickened out on penalties, and then Percy took a penalty, Madisha and Lele Besi, if I'm not mistaken. That game.
Yeah, so I think the 1-0. Yes, it is an advantage, but you should make use of the advantage. Don't just, because of you have the advantage, don't just fold arms and expect the advantage will work for you. But I think we need to work hard. We need to approach this game as if we didn't play the first leg or it is 0-0. Because if you rely too much on the advantage, that means you are going to relax and protect your scoreline and happy with the one lane score line. So I think we should go all out and try to win in Tunisia. And I believe it is possible, man. And I was watching the post-match conference here, Cardoso, whereby he said that if we want to win in Tunisia, we need to show bravery, we need to be fearless, man, and we should not be intimidated by the fans that experience. We know what to expect from the fans, that there will be that hostile treatment or behavior from their fans. But as soon as we are able to succeed in terms of ensuring that you are not intimidated and we are mentally sharp, I think we stand a chance of coming out with positive results. But the advantage, it means nothing when you don't make use of it, man. So I've referenced the previous quarterfinal against Wydad Casablanca. We need to make use of our advantage, man.
Yeah, no, I would have obviously loved to take a win off with a bigger margin, maybe 2-0, 3-0, But I think the most important thing is that we didn't concede at home. That away goal, man, would have absolutely hurt us. So we are going there with something in our hands, something to protect and to play for, So I think it was that the most important thing is that we didn't concede, because Cardoso in that press conference, he sounded like even if he had played a 0-0 draw, he would have been okay with it. He wouldn't have been upset, because he knows, and we know that a goal away makes their lives absolutely difficult, makes things really, really tough for them, Speaking of that press conference here, Cardoso, I will quote what he said. He said, if you go there and play for a draw, you will lose. Do you think we'll play on a front foot? Because I do not think we'll play on the front foot, but I also don't think we'll sit back and play a low block, and then invite them in for them to put us under pressure. But at the same time, I don't expect us to be expensive, and go full throttle at them and then leave ourselves exposed at the back. I think we'll manage this game and in the best possible way, attack when an opportunity arises, but make sure that the rest defense, even when we attack, is the best it has ever been, So I don't think we'll play front foot. We'll touch on this towards the end, because me and you, during the game and after the game, on our way back home, we're discussing how we'll set up and who will bring in for this game, And I changed my mind. Remember, there's a player that we said we will definitely play. But after watching Cardoso's press conference, I've changed my mind with regards to it, because he doesn't sound like someone who will just sit back and invite Esperance to come in at him. Do you think when I will play on the front foot?
I doubt, man. As much as we'll cause some threat, we'll attack, but I think that there needs to be we need to be cautious, man, because I think the Esperance players will be aggressive. They'll throw everything on us, so we need to be cautious. We need to be vigilant at the back. But I believe that there will be moments whereby we will cause some threat. There will be moments whereby they are forced to defend, they are forced to drag back, and they are forced to make fouls. Unlike in the first leg, whereby the away team, which was the Esperance, they were just waiting. They didn't press, they didn't attack. I don't remember even Williams making a crucial save. So, but now when they came to Pretoria, I think they just sat back and wanted not to concede, man. So I think Rona, because of we are not anti-football like them, I think we'll attack and cause some threat because of playing a low block and relying on counter. That means you invite the pressure from the opponent, and that's not what you want. As much as sometimes we'll be forced to defend deep and they will throw everything on us, but we need to have the plan when we have the ball. How do we get to the final third? How do we escape their press and progress to final third of the pitch, man? So I don't see us just defending the entire 90 minutes. There'll be moments whereby Esperance will be forced to defend and deal with the threats of our attack, man. The threat of our attack.
What do you think, or how do you think they will approach this game, Bona Esperance?
I think because of on the first leg, their wingers were not that aggressive, man. But because of it was because of the fullbacks did not overlap. But I believe on the second leg, because of the fullbacks will overlap and they will overload the wide channels. I think the threat will come from the wingers because of every time when Mukwana and the other winger had the ball, they were isolated, man. They didn't know where to go. But because of on the second leg, I foresee their fullbacks overlapping. So I think the threat might come from their wingers as well as the set pieces, because of you could remember the second half they were only looking for set pieces whereby they could get something out of the game. So I think the danger from them will come from overloading the wide channels and also the threat from the set pieces.
Yeah, and I think the approach will depend on the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. I think they will throw the kitchen sink and everything at us in the first 10 minutes of that game, trying to get that early goal, to settle the nerves. They know now they can play for, if it goes to, it ends in a 1-0 win, can go to penalties, So I think it will be crucial how they start the first 10 minutes. They will throw everything at us. But I think if we don't concede in the first 10, 15 minutes, the game will settle down after that. Because now, I think in the first 10 minutes, they will use more emotions than brains, and then after that, they will start using their brains, because they will definitely be emotional and attack, early on, trying to uncircle us and stuff like that. So I think that's how they will approach the game. And then judging by what happens after that, what happens in the first 10 minutes will set the tone for the rest of the game, man. Rabs, what is the most important, or the one thing that you think is the most important thing going into this game for Sundowns? Because for me, it's emotional intelligence. That's tactics are important and everything, game plan and all that important. But I think emotional intelligence is the most important thing going into this game. We need to keep our heads. We can't afford to lose our heads in this game. There will be, the dugouts will be at work. We know what to expect. We know what they will do. We know they'll be all over the ref. They will be diving in the box. They will be, off the ball incidents, and many things. Like they will definitely bring on the dark arts, which I do not mind. It's fine, do them. But when it comes to us, we must keep calm heads at all times. Do not lose your heads, and because there's VAR. Don't do anything stupid in this game, because there's a VAR. So I think we need to control ourselves. That's the most important thing for me going into this game.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with you. I think we need to control our emotions, man. We know that they will provoke us, but how we react, I think it will be crucial on how we react when they provoke us. Because of, remember, I think the last time when we played in the CAF Champions League, Ndau got a silly red card.
We've had 3 red cards in this tournament.
Because of we were failing to control our emotions. And also, I think, of course, they might have the majority of the possession, and every time they have the ball, they will look for fouls, man. I think when you are late, just pull out your leg, man. Like I remember the last, I think I can't remember the game whereby Batusi got a red card. He didn't do it deliberately, but I think we need to be careful on how we go to the ground jewels and how we compete for the aerial jewels as well. But I think another important factor is playing collectively as a team, man. Like you don't win such games because of individual brilliance, but you win them because of the collective within the team. Like when another player does something good, the players must cheer at him, like be there for one another, man. Because of once there's a division between the teammates, I think that's where the Esperance will lose that advantage. But once we are one as a team, I think we stand a chance of coming out alive in Tunisia, man.
I know you're going to war on Tuesday, man. We are going to war. How do we advance to the semi-finals of the Champions League?
I think for us, man, mentally we have to be sharp, man. Like, as much as we spoke about the scoreline advantage, one would say it favors us. Like I've said, it doesn't favor you until you make use of it, man, because it means nothing. Because of these guys can bounce back and get 2 goals or get a single goal and win the game on penalties. Since I've referenced the last game where we played with Casablanca in 2017. So I think the mentality has to be different, man. We are not playing at home. We are on our own there in Tunisia, man. It is a war, like you have said, man. So I think as much as it is a war and it will be difficult, but we have what it takes to get positive results. And I think in defense, man, we have to be solid, man. There's guys like they will throw everything at us. So like I'm expecting elbows when we compete for the aerial duels. We have to fight, man. Like this is a game whereby our players need to show balls and they need to be the man inside the field because of what the North Africans they win the games not because of they are better than you, but because of they have an edge over you in certain aspects of the game, like putting pressure on the referee and also taking our players out of the game by frustrating them, by provoking them. And once we allow those things, that means we give them an advantage to win the game and to be all over us. But once we show character and we fight and we don't allow them to see how weak, if I may put it that way, we are. So I think that's what needs to happen in terms of the mentality, how we approach the game. And we always speak about unnecessary fouls when we play against North African teams, man. We know when you manage to keep them quiet, they look for other alternatives like getting fouls, provoking the referee, because of they know that's the only way they could get better chances or goal scoring opportunities. So less fouls means that we minimize their threat. Because if you look at the second half of the first leg, they were just looking for fouls, man. Once they crossed to our own half, they were falling all over, and they even brought Rodriguez, the strong and tall center forward number 9, and you could see the threat, man. But we managed to deal with those set pieces. But when you go to Tunisia, man, it won't be easy. So we should avoid making unnecessary fouls because of the threat may come from those fouls. And I expect us to be cautious in our build-up, man. As much as Ronwen is good, Salas is good on the ball, Le Grandena is decent, is good on the ball, but we need to be cautious because of one thing I've noticed about this games when we play away, more especially against North African team, is that if Ronwen makes a silly mistakes, even though it doesn't lead to a goal, let's say he tries to give a pass to Mudau, but the ball goes behind
Let's use the example now what happened on Tuesday. That pass, that where he took his time and then they put him under pressure and then he kicked it out to and me and you and Neo were pissed at him. What is he doing?
The Arabs are looking for those moments. Once we can fail in terms of the build-up, they will notice. So if we can keep pressure on Ronwen or on the two center backs, we'll force them to kick the ball outside or we'll force them to panic. So we shouldn't try to be too smart, even though we see that there's a pressure coming from Esperance opponents whereby they are pressing us and also they are putting pressure on us. You should be smart, like playing the ball long and or on the channel. It is not that javelin. Sometimes you have to escape the pressure, man, because if you fail to escape the pressure, that means you give the opponent the advantage to get the ball back and cause some danger. And we need to compete in the middle field, man. I think overloading the middle field will be key, man, because of I looked at their number 14, the Nigerian player. He goes by the name of Onochu Ogbel. I think he was brilliant. As much as they did not have enough possession during the first leg, but you could see once we go away on the second leg, he will have more of the ball and will manage to link the defense with the attack. So I think overloading the middle field, I think will nullify his threat in terms of progressing with the ball and also finding the spaces whereby they can progress forward with the ball. And on the second leg, I think their wingers will spend more, will have the ball more, unlike on the first leg, and also they will have the ball more on our half because of during the first leg, Mukwana only received the ball inside his own half, and he had to travel with the ball closer to the goalpost, and he couldn't outrun Mudau because of
There's
Mudau.
no same player who will try to outrun Mudau. You're
Because
not
of-
gonna win.
Mudau has the physique and the speed, but because of now, they will play high up on the pitch, and that means that their forwards will receive the balls closer to the final third. And I think it might cause some threat because of I spoke about their fullbacks, which is Ben Hamida as well as Buachniba. But yeah, I think they will overload those wide channels, and that will give the advantage to the wingers to push even more further, unlike in the first league whereby they were isolated. And I think that's how you might expect in this game. And also, lastly, for Sundowns, man, I liked how we scored that goal, man. Like, there was no danger at all, but how we managed to convert that into a good chance whereby we could score. I think it was brilliant of us, whereby Ribeiro dropped way too deep, and Salas, who was closer to the two centre backs, he dropped a little bit and forcing the other centre back to go with him, and that left the space for Jaden Adams to get a header to Pete. I think we need to ensure that when we have the ball, we show mobility, man, because of standing. It is easy for them to regain the possession and win the ball back, man. So I think having movement around the final third, I think we will give us something, and we need to capitalize on that. And lastly, Peter Shalulila should help us to keep the attack alive, man. In this game, there might be moments whereby we'll give him the ball and we'll be up against 2 or 3 defenders. He needs to be clever, man. It's either he's able to escape the pressure or wins us a foul or he keeps the ball. Because of in the first leg, we played a lot of wall passes whereby he was facing our own goals and he failed to hold up play and link with whoever was coming to join him or the players who were making runs on the wide channel. So I think it is very important for Peter Shalulile to hold up our play and also to link with the other players around him. Because of in this game, I can tell you, they will target him. He will be marked by 2 or 3 defenders. So he needs to be clever in terms of how his hold up play is, and also him being able to win us fouls. Because of it will be very, I think, bad of us. We give him the ball and he lose the ball cheap. We have to work hard again to regain the ball position, and we give him the ball, he loses the ball. So I think he should help us to keep possession and to keep the attack alive. Because of Yena, obviously can score for us, but what's important again is to keep the attack alive.
I love Peter with all my heart, but you're asking for way too much from him if you want him to hold up play, because he's gonna bounce off him. So the best thing for me is rather maybe play it to the channel, not a wall pass, rather play it to the channel, and then he drags them out of possession and then maybe wins a throw-in or a corner. But if you play to his feet and expect him to hold it and then wait for a support, that's not his strength. He's terrible at that. How do we progress to the semi-final? I think there's no margin for error. I think
Yeah.
We need a near perfect performance out of this game. Suarez, at the back, Suarez needs to understand he won't have time on the ball. They will put him under so much pressure once he receives the ball. More so when they've seen that he's a bit shaky at times, So I think there's no margin for error in this game. And in the 70th minute, Allende miscontrolled, and then they played a long ball, which led to a counter attack. We can't afford such things in this game. Yes, mistakes happen in this game, but we need to minimize such mistakes. That will have us under pressure. In the preview of the first leg, Elias mentioned how they struggle at home more so in the build-up phase, and teams now are not afraid to press them high, and because they know they make mistakes at the back. I think we should do that, and set traps and press them high and up the field, because if we win the ball closer to their goal post, it increases our chances of scoring goals. I think Belaid is gonna wanna run the show in this game. He's gonna wanna show everyone what he's about. I think most people who've never seen him and heard me talk about him in the last preview, and they saw him on the first leg, are thinking, what was Thabiso talking about? He's a damn good player, and I think he's gonna wanna show it in this game. Do not give him room to find spaces where he can find passes, and where he can head us. I think Rodriguez might play in this game. And if he does, we need to make sure that when they go route one, we win the first ball so that he doesn't play the flick ones for Mokwana to run behind our defense. I think that can hurt us if we don't take care of remember the goal that they scored last year here at home when they beat us 1-0. And I think some of our chances might come from outside the box, And this is where Debza is very key. There's something that I picked up in the first leg, how he was moving. He was moving diagonally, Debza. In the build-up phase, he would start on more so on the right, and then move. As soon as we cross the center half, he'd move towards the left, And he'd make room for himself, And as you can see on these images, he'd make room for himself. But the issue with that is that when he's more on the left, if he receives, or even when he's made room for himself, he needs to control me with his left and then make sure that the ball is properly set before he can shoot. And you're not going to get that much time in professional football. They're going to press you and close you down as quickly as possible. If he's to be on the right side, whereby when he receives, he can control with his right and make sure, set the ball with his right, like the goal that he scored against Pirates, where you remember where he received the ball, he was on the right and he was able to shoot. So I think this is something that we need to look at once we cross our half. Try and have Debza more to his stronger foot, where he can hit their goalkeeper, because they will definitely be playing on the front foot. This means the front line will try and press high, the midfield will follow, and so there will definitely be spaces in between the lines. This is where Ribeiro will be key, getting into those spaces between the lines, and whatever he does when he's there will be key, in terms of us creating goal scoring opportunities. But at the same time, this would mean that once they turn over possession, we need to move it as quickly as possible to their half. We do not need to dilly-dally, move the ball as quickly as possible and head them if their rest defense is not properly set. Transition might be really, really key in this game. Let's do something that we've never done before. You always have your own lineup. I have mine. I want us to do a combined lineup. Sundowns. I was watching Kens and Clocks doing the match review of the first leg, and they had ideas in terms of how we might set up in the formation for the second leg if we go a back 3/back 5 with the wing backs. But if we do that, does Mundau become a right centre back, or maybe we bring on Cupido, and how we do that? Me and you spoke about Batusi, that we might, Cardoso might drop
one of the midfielders.
Adams, most probably, not because he was bad or anything, but because he wants physicality in the midfield of the park. But after watching that press conference, I have my doubts with regards to that. He might still do it, might still play Batusi. But let's do a combined lineup. I think, okay, which formation do you think we'll play?
I think we'll play 4-3-1-2.
Okay, so a diamond system,
Yeah.
basically a 4-4-2 diamond system. Okay. We agree about the back four and the midfield. The goalkeeper, we agreed. Williams.
Yeah.
Right back,
I think they will start.
I think Kuliso starts. Right centre back,
Grant will definitely start.
Grant will definitely start. Left centre back,
Suarez will start.
I think he will start, and I think he's not gonna want to change things this late in the tournament, maybe into
And remember, we used to speak about the importance of having a left-footed
centre back.
centre back. So
Balance.
I think it gives us balance in terms of the build-up and how we defend, man. So I think it makes sense to have a centre back who's left-footed, more especially when you are playing against a team that will put pressure on you, because of if you play a right-footed centre back on the left centre back position, it will happen the same as Mokoena, whereby he needs to put the ball onto his stronger feet and he delays, and they obviously put pressure on him and try to win the ball. So I think Suarez will definitely start, man.
Yeah, but he also needs to balance his defending.
Yeah.
Left back,
I think Lunga will start.
I'm definitely starting divided.
How he defended and also how he helped us in terms of the attack during the first. And also advantage Lunga is that he has the height to help us to defend the crosses and the set pieces from the Esperance team. So I think Lungu will definitely start, man. Aubry is good in terms of having the ball and trying to penetrate through the tight spaces, and technically is also good. But I think you need a balanced, a left-footed, a left back whereby he's good in terms of the defense and also in attack he's decent. He can give you something, man.
Yeah, no, we agree on the back five. Midfield, obviously, Tebza. I have a feeling you're gonna disagree on midfield, and I'm gonna slap you. If there's someone, I bumped into someone before the start of the game in the bathrooms. I think his name is Katli. He's from the Sourceville branch. He said he was mad at you, your lineup for the Spukune game. He said he was so disappointed at you. Yeah. Midfield for me, it's Tebza, Allende, Adams.
I'll start Batusi.
Who do you drop?
It is difficult to tell who I drop because of
who do you drop.
Allende gives you control. Yeah. Adams gives you the
full threat.
Yeah, so
who do you drop?
Again, Masandawana will kill me. I'll drop Allende. I'll drop Allende.
Abelang, there are some players that I always say this thing of Allende playing every game, I don't like it. But you do not go into such a big game without the man who makes you play, the man who makes your team tick. You do not drop Allende. Stop doing Twitter, Mike. It's gonna come out in the video. You do not drop Allende, man. He's not. Cardoso is not even thinking of that. He's not even considering that, man. Like he's not. So this is one position that I'm putting my foot down. I'm starting Allende. I would understand if Batusi starts, but it won't be for Alind. That much I can guarantee you. Not Alind. They're gonna eat you alive on the comments. Front three?
Front row, I'll have Reynas, I'll have Peter, as well as Costa.
Okay. So we're saying a 4-4-2 diamond. That's what we're going for. Ne? And Ribeiro at 10 and Reina Zilshabile as the center forward.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have both of them. Ne? Before we end this, Thapelo Morena, his pace, we might be under so much pressure and could be perfect for an out ball. And Thapelo Morena's BMT, more especially against North African side. Is it something to consider?
Pace. Yeah, look at Rangini, he drop at Thapelo, but because of how he performs during the big games, man, like he always deliver, man. Club level, national team, man, like he always delivers. So I think because of Cardoso is smart in terms of making the subs second half, and he knows how to restructure the team when he wants something. So I think that we can still have, or the guys who are coming on the pitch as subs, I think they can still have the impact on the game. The likes of Salis, every time when he comes from the bench, he gives us something. So I think Thapelo coming from the bench, I think we might get something from him as well, man.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. Score prediction?
1-1.
Why are you looking at my notes?
No. I'm 1-1 video corner. I didn't even notice your scoreline, man.
Yeah, I also think it will be a 1-1, and that would help us. That would mean we advance to the semi-final. Thank you guys for your continued support. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the love that you show us. We bumped into so many of you guys who came to us, Bomto and everyone. I'm not gonna mention everyone.
One even spilled Neo's beers, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys very much for the love and support that you show us, man. Like I've said from the onset, we just giving our opinions, or not everything we say here defect, But yeah, thank you guys for your love. Please continue subscribing and help us grow the channel. To Majida, the technical team, and the traveling contingent, all the best of luck, guys. Make us proud. Fight for the badge, Like just give your all, and don't come back home with what's the word? Thinking what could have been, So yeah, man. The next time you will see us will be next week Friday. We'll be bringing you the preview of our Nedbank Cup semi-final against Kaizer Chiefs, a match that will play on Sunday at Loftus Versfeld on the 13th of April, 6 o'clock. Until then, sharp Masandawan.
Sharp Masandawan.